game, 12:30 there in the afternoon. Everybody's waking up, finished their coffee, cooking turkey. You got the Green Bay Packers going 4-6, going into the Detroit Lions, who are 8-2. Detroit Lions a big 7.5-point favorite here right now. Last week, Green Bay took advantage of the struggling Los Angeles Chargers defense to get that victory, 23-20. And Detroit had a tough fight versus Chicago. They needed a little bit of magic there in the last 4 minutes, and they pulled it off, and they won that one 31-26. So another divisional matchup here for the Lions. Is it going to be a hard-fought battle like it was last week, or do they get to run away with it, kind of like how Vegas sees it with this spread? What do you think there, Charlie?
Well, I mean, on paper, should be a pretty slam dunk for the Lions. Digging into some things though, they're 2-3 against the spread at home. Packers are 4-2 against the spread in the conference. Packers' pass defense has been pretty well. I think they're top 10 in the league so far. Their rush defense kind of suspect though, so it's hard to envision the Lions as well as they've been running the ball here this year, that Monty and Gibbs don't get the chance to eat and break off some runs. But I do feel like the Packers can keep this close. I don't like the 7.5 points that the Lions are dropping. I like the Packers getting the points. I think they put a decent sized scare into the Lions, similar to the Bears game last week. But I think the Lions are playing too solid of football, and I think they come away with the win on Turkey Day. How about you, Sam?
Okay, like it. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I would definitely take the Lions on the cover for that one. Not an easy choice. You can go either way. Definitely on that. A couple of reasons I like the Lions covering on this. One, the Lions are very healthy right now, and the Packers have lost their most dynamic player in Aaron Jones, not expected to play this week. I think that's going to be a huge factor for them. They're averaging 99 rush yards per game right now. Without Aaron Jones, I see that dropping, and I see everything being put on Jordan Love's back. And Jordan Love has been doing a decent job at quarterback this year, but I don't see him putting a team on his back and willing them to win, especially against a team like the Lions. The Lions are just a gritty, physical team, and they really bring it to you every single week, and I think that's going to show against Green Bay. So I see them covering for sure. Neither team really has played any elite teams this year, so I know the Lions haven't really beat anybody elite. A lot of people are putting them in that Super Bowl contenders. I'm not 100% on that, but I do think they're the better team, and I think they're going to cover the spread.
I mean, I like them as well. I mean, it's hard not to like the Detroit Lions and what they're doing. I mean, they've been a terrible team for a long time. These past handful of years here, ever since Dan Campbell, they're really getting their stuff together. Number 2 ranked offense, number 9 ranked defense. The Green Bay Packers had prided themselves in the past 20 years on quarterback play and defensive play, and always having a solid running back, going back to the Ahman Green days when they had Brett Favre and one of the Sharp brothers. I think it was Sterling. Incredible hands. But here, the Green Bay Packers are not, some of the teams that I had just named, even with the Aaron Rodgers squads, and, you had Eddie Lacy at running back, just a truck of a running back out of, I think, Alabama. I think he was
Roll Tide, baby. Roll
a
Tide.
stud out of Alabama. And Greg Jennings and some guys. They had Jordan, the receiver, escaping me. But they had Jordy Nelson. They've had some guys.
Okay.
They've had some guys over there on offense for Green Bay, and some defenders as well, man. I can remember B.J. Raji D tackle. But I gotta take the Lions here. I'm going to go under. The 47's a lot. Both teams are putting up at least 20 a game. I'd do 40 and say they're going to cover, but I just don't know because this is a divisional team, a divisional game, and, Green Bay still has a decent defense. It's not the best, but ranked in the top 15. I mean, that's pretty good. So I think they'll keep it under the 47, but I do like the Detroit Lions giving up the 7.5. I don't think they're going to be able to outpace this Detroit Lions offense, but I think maybe they could sustain. How about you, Braid?
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I like Detroit Lions here. They're a tough football team right now. Packers, they fight tough, but they just haven't been able to finish games. They're not completing enough passes. They're not getting their stars involved enough to win enough football games right now, and Detroit is doing that. They have a two-headed monsters there for running back right now between Montgomery and Gibbs, and then obviously you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, can do just about anything you want him to do across the middle of the field there. So that offense is very dynamic. And then you look at their last matchup, which was in Week 4, where Detroit beat them 34-20. The first half, they basically could do whatever they wanted and drove down, scored 4 touchdowns. And then, kind of coasted it there in the second half and didn't have to do much. So it could almost be a recipe like that again because Dave Montgomery, looked really good against them in that Week 4. And then just last week alone, it looked really well again. He's put up 4 or 5 100-yard games right now as a running back. So that's impressive. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs just sitting there waiting for his turn behind him, and he's scoring touchdowns as well. So I think it's a tough match to follow, especially if you got your man Aaron Jones injured on the other side of the ball. So you're not going to be able to keep up with that run game style, eat the clock, and wear down the defense. So I like the Detroit Lions here with the points.
Heard that.
Anything else to add here, gentlemen? What do you guys like fantasy-wise?
Fantasy-wise, I mean, Monty and Gibbs, like I said before, I think they both eat. The Packers are going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. So the rookie Reed, who's been making big plays, I think he's at play for a flex. The other rookie, Dontavius Wicks, has quietly been getting targeted more too. Rookie out of Virginia Tech that I liked a lot coming into the season. And then I got some best bets. Jordan Love throwing an INT, although I like the Packers to cover. I think they're going to have to throw quite a bit, and he's averaging a pick a game on the season. So best bet, Jordan Love throws an interception at some point in this game. And that's what I got as far as that stuff goes. How about you, Sam?
For fantasy, we got all the obvious ones. We got Amon-Ra, we got David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm playing both of those running backs every week until they make me not play one of them. So I'm playing both of them every week. Love what Jahmyr Gibbs has been doing. The David Montgomery injury really allowed him to show out and show what he could do. And now I think that's going to be a two-headed monster. And with their run game, I think they can both be very productive in fantasy. I also like Jared Goff. In this game, he's been solid. He had 3 interceptions last game. I don't see him throwing 3 interceptions in this game. Would have had, I think it was 22 points in normal scoring formats for fantasy if he didn't throw those interceptions. So I do like him this week. My pick of the week, though, is actually going to be Jordan Love for a couple reasons. One, although he is not quarterbacked as well as Green Bay fans would have liked, fantasy-wise, he's been doing fairly solid. He's pretty consistently between 18 and 22 points at a 26 point this past week. No Aaron Jones this week. He's going to have to rush a little bit more. I think he's going to have to put the team on his back a little bit more. And yes, I agree with your interception. Probably have an interception, but I think he's going to have a good game as far as fantasy goes. I know he was on my bench last week, so I'm hoping he has another game like last week.
Yeah, I like the Jordan Reed play. I actually drafted him in fantasy, and I've been switching him in and out with Mooney. And Mooney I haven't been able to hit it all with Mooney, so it's just kind of been a Jordan Reed kind of situation there. But I also like another name that we haven't said, Laporta. I would definitely start Laporta in this game, and I wouldn't mind taking Detroit's defense if I didn't have one. I think that potentially in this game they're going to be able to stifle that offense simply because the run game is just potentially not going to be there. So when you keep a team one-dimensional, it's a lot easier to stop. And when you have the dynamic players that this defense has, it's a recipe, you know. I mean, maybe the offense is able to sustain one, maybe 2 quarters of solid play, but I think I think it's a house of cards just waiting to come down. What quarter it'll be, I'm not sure.
I like it. I'm gonna just throw one kind of sneaky pick in there, and I'm gonna. It's a risk, but for the flex position, I'd ride with Josh Reynolds, and that's Green Bay has the ability to be a tough secondary to where they can slow down Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then it's going to be a tough battle between him and Jameson Williams and then Josh Reynolds. And Jameson Williams has had a lot of action of recent, so I could see them giving him more attention and letting Josh Reynolds slide under the bus and slide under the radar and come in for a touchdown or two.
I like it.
I like it.
One last thing on my cover, though. Packers defense only giving up a little over 15 points per game over the last 3 games. So they're playing better defense, even though minus Rasul Douglas, who's now balling out for the Buffalo Bills. But it's tough. But that's all I got.
I got one question for us on this game. Are we believing the hype on this Lions team? Do we really think they can live up and be a Super Bowl contender, or do we think it's too early to tell, or do we think they're just haven't played anybody? What do y'all think?
Eddie, you first.
I want to answer the question, but I think I should save my answer for the top 5 because I have the Lions in the top 5, but that's why they're not they're not in my top 5 where they should be record wise with of as good as a record that the Lions have, and as high as I am sniffing lion salt all day long. I just think that they're not where they should be. They're trending in the proper direction, and we want them to be there, but I don't think they're there yet.
Hey, we can hold it off until we get to the top 5. That's cool. I didn't even think about that.
I mean?
Eddie, jury's still out for Eddie. That's his answer. How about you,
That
Greg?
was a funny answer.
That's fair. I mean, for me, looking at the Detroit Lions, I think they have the ability to compete with the top dogs, but we just haven't quite seen it yet. And they can play mistake-heavy football. So I think it comes down to like what kind of week they're having. Whether it's you're buying into the Dan Campbell philosophy, and it's dog eat dog world out there, and everybody's out there going for the kneecaps, and they're going to come out victorious, or if they're going to make mistakes and Jared Goff throws an interception, or they're not able to run the ball and get the play action going, and their defense is letting up way too much, then I can see it falling bad on them when they face a true contender. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, for me, I'd put a lid on the Super Bowl talk, but I mean they're still on the rise. I feel like I have more confidence in them than any other of the possible bubbling up teams in the NFC. So I think they very well could beat a Philadelphia Eagle team in a one-on-one game. They very well could beat a Dallas Cowboy team, and they very well could beat a 49ers team. But my faith in that happening, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But the talent, coaching, everything on the field says yes, they could do it. But the loss against Seattle at home and then getting their doors blown off by the Ravens are, that's more fresh in my mind than that opening week victory over Kansas City, who we've seen may not be as offensively, smooth this year as they have been in prior years, execution wise. So jury's still out for me too.
And then not having Travis Kelce in that game was huge.
Yeah, definitely agree with you guys. I just need to see them play somebody, and not. I don't think they're afraid to play anybody, and I think that they're ready for it. And not saying that I think they're going to beat these elite teams that are real Super Bowl contenders, but just looking at their schedule and all the hype that they have around them, I'm just surprised I haven't heard that more. They have not played anybody this year, so I was just curious how you guys felt about that.
They're a feel-good story.
For
Yeah.
sure, but they still haven't kicked the fact that they're the Lions. They haven't kicked that yet, you know.
Yeah, I was
you
gonna say,
haven't-
I think it comes a lot from their fan base knows that they're still the Lions versus like, let's say if this was the Pittsburgh Steelers, everybody would be like, oh, Pittsburgh Steelers are going for the Super Bowl. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's the fan base difference, I think.
Hesitant.
I like that take.
I mean, because you can think back, because you can look at, what was it, just 4 or 5 years ago when the Steelers were like 11-0, and then they lost like 5 in a row, including the first round playoff out of it. And everyone's like, what happened? And everyone's like, we were telling you all season long you didn't play anybody good. And then you started playing good teams and you didn't win anymore. Like, so, but it all comes down to what you do on that Sunday and not versus, you know, but again, same thing. Like I don't think this Lions team is taking it for granted. I think they're going out there every Sunday playing as hard as they can. So
It's the highest ranked. It's the highest ranked record on my top 5. That's the lowest.
yeah, we'll
True.
see. Let's
I
get into
got
this
that.
next game though.